Welcome to another Fire Discussion with Empire, where we share stories to elevate and inspire. I am honored to introduce our next guest. She's a runner, she's a leader in her field, and she's a trainer. Guys, please help me welcome the one and only Wendy. Thank you so much for being here. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. How are you doing, by the way? Thank you so much for being here.
I am well. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I mean, this is a great platform, and I really am grateful that you invited me over here. Thank you.
First of all, I've been watching you. We've known each other for oh my God, we worked together. Now that I've seen you transform, I'm in awe of you. I'm in awe of you, honestly. Walk us through the process of when you fell in love with running again, because I know you're a personal trainer now. You have clients who simply, obviously loving what you do every day. Where did that passion for training start, would you say?
It started a couple of years ago. I probably would say about 3 years ago. Okay. And I was just training with a friend of mine, and we wanted to race. So I already was doing running every so often. Okay. I was always into fitness since I was a kid, but every so often I would just take breaks. Okay. And this time I think was when I finally committed to at least achieving one 5K. And my friend and I decided that we would train together. Okay. And I trained with a male. So I don't know if you ever experienced this, but when you are training with men, the level is completely different. They're not that nice. So I had, it was tough. And I think the worst thing that I experienced from that journey was not having enough confidence in myself. Because a lot of times when you're doing something and you tend to focus on your outer, you tend to feel like, you're doing this for someone else. So you're looking at your outlook is based off of somebody else's perception. Yeah. And when you don't grasp your whys, you tend to get lost and confused or discouraged and really unmotivated. So, it started off pretty well, but then after a while, I kind of didn't want to continue on because it was hard. It was difficult. But the guy that I was training with, he kept encouraging me, and we finally accomplished our 5K. It was every day we were out there, and I got hurt a couple of times. Even my nutrition, I had to learn to curb the way I eat because it affected my performance. So as a result, I started learning so many different things about myself, but it didn't click for me until 2 years later when I got invested, and and that's when I realized that I didn't want to just be a recreational runner. Of course, I was winning too, so I was just okay.
Wait, let's pause. Wendy, the amount of races you win almost every time you run. That's incredible. I run.
I couldn't believe it myself.
But I don't win. I'm just I'm going to run just to win and just finishing the race. And a lot of us do go with the route. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, for anyone listening. The idea of running, the fitness part of it is amazing. But this girl, when she runs, if you're running against her, you better believe you're going to see. So that's one of my questions to you. You are winning. So that means you are doing something extra than most of your peers. That's incredible. And you said you started 2 years ago. And obviously you said you've always been into fitness. What was that click that says, I'm going to go that extra mile more than ever more than before. What was that switch for you? What made that switch, would you say?
When my partner and I decided to part ways, because I think that I started to understand my body, and I started to understand the way I trained was different from the way he trained. Granted, I learned a lot and it was great. However, when you start to understand yourself, and that's why I say you got to know your whys, because once you start to connect with yourself, you start to understand that there's certain strategies that work for you and certain strategies that don't work for you. And when I'm training, I do not put, I mean, for him, he felt like I didn't do my best, and I did. But my thing is that when you're training, you don't give 100% all the time, because you want to save your energy so that when you need to perform, that's when you give it your all. And that's something I always knew since I was a kid, because I used to run track. Now, after transitioning as an adult, you know, your body sends, your body has memories. So your body remembers that, hey, you know, you don't have to put up all this energy. Right. You could save it. And then, you know, once you craft it, you can actually become better than you probably would have never imagined. So for me, that's really where it started to, you know, click for me. And then after a while, once we parted ways, I stopped running for a little bit. And then I started to long for it. I started to miss it. And it was just like, yo, I don't know if you ever experienced this, but you know, when you have like a sweet craving for something, like you have sweets, we crave for sweets, really, right?
Especially I feel like people who are pregnant, sometimes they're like, I need pickle right now. I think a lot of us can really, for sure.
Yes. And you go out of your way just to find that sweet, like just to satisfy that craving. Yeah. That was how running became for me. I realized that I did not want to just be a recreational runner. I didn't want to run every so often. I wanted to do this because it made me feel good. And mentally, it changed the way I saw myself. It gave me more confidence. I was more outspoken. And even my stress levels became a lot less, because yes, your body do go through a lot of stresses, but for some reason, when you're exercising, I mean, not for some reason, I mean, biologically, there's proven facts as to what the benefits are in, you know, as far as like working out and everything, no matter what type of cardiovascular activity you're doing, there's researches that prove that it changes your stress levels. So I noticed that there was a big difference in that. And I noticed that, you know, I was a lot more calmer. So when I started to see the changes of my personality, of the way I reacted to things, I realized that, you know what, I think I might do this more often. And so my routine was always the same. But I just kind of tweaked it a little bit, where I just started working out more often, like early in the morning. And I realized that I thrive more early in the morning than I do in the afternoons, because I like that time for myself. And personally speaking, when I started going to therapy, I realized and I learned that the more you connect with nature, the more it helps you reset your nervous system. So that's where the whole that's where it started clicking for me, like, oh, this is why I feel so different. This is why I'm like, you know, changing the way I respond to things, because my nervous system was resetting every time I connected with nature. Wow. So that's where it all started for me. And that was like maybe about 2 years ago. And I will honestly say since then it started me in this path of consistency. And the more consistent I was, the more I was able to see progress, and the more I was able to win a couple of races. And I mean, honestly, I love being around the community too, because those people are very encouraging. They're awesome motivators. So
that's a powerful thing. You said consistency and community. I think those two things I could not agree with you more. What was one of the biggest challenges you had to face? You mentioned obviously consistency, which I think a lot of people find very hard. And also, I know you mentioned the why, but for you specifically, what is one of the biggest challenges you really had to go through to get to the stage you are right now?
Learning to develop a relationship with myself. And I say that in the sense of, so when you're doing something, especially like a strenuous activity like running, because it strains on you. You know, like I experience physical fatigue. I experience a lot of aches on my knees and my joints. And when you don't have somebody there with you, a lot of times you lose that motivation. You lose that desire to want to actually achieve something, because now you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have anybody there telling you, hey, you need to get up, you need to, you know, it's just you. Yes. So it was really important that I learned to develop a relationship with me. And I have to say, it was really hard, because all my life I've been surrounded by people, and every person was always, it was almost like a distraction from actually developing a true relationship, listening to yourself, understanding when your body can do something, when it can't do something, or when you need to rest, when you don't want to rest. Because all here is, everything that's in your brain is based off of somebody else's perception of you. So when I realized that, damn, I don't think I really know myself. I don't really think I trust myself, or I really don't like myself. I realized that, yo, I need help. I need help. So, you know, going to therapy, I learned so much about my mental health. My mental health was so important, and it helped me develop a relationship with myself, and it improved my performance in running, it improved my relationship with people, and it helped me set boundaries. And I feel like it's so important that people understand the importance of developing a relationship with themselves, because a lot of times we always look for somebody else's approval. We, even for those who have children, or so for those who are married, it's just like you have a host of people who's literally blocking you from knowing who you are, what you want, what your desires are, what you can actually achieve, without feeling constantly like you can't do it, like it's impossible. Because all your life, most of us, I mean, I don't know everybody, but I know for myself, you always hear criticism. You always hear, well, no, maybe you shouldn't try that. Maybe you shouldn't do that. I mean, you're a Black girl. Come on now. Why would you be in a running community that's full of white people? I'm sorry, but I have to make it known, because as a Black woman, that doesn't exist. It's rare that you find Black women who are actually performing at that level. At my age, girl, all I hear when I hear Black women talk is they're worried about their hair, they're worried about sweating too much, they're worried about, well, what's my man gonna think, you know, or my knees hurt, or this and that. And that's where it stops, you know. There's nobody there. It's like your mindset is not willing to go above that reason why you can't do it. So you just fall into that idea of, well, I have my reason why I can't, so I might as well just stay here. And instead of, you know what, let me find out if there's a way out of this mindset. Let me see if there's a way that I can rise up beyond other people's perception, because that mindset is based off of somebody else's perception of you. How about you try to see what you're capable of beyond than what somebody else told you can't do? And that's where the challenges was, because then I had to develop a relationship with myself. I had to understand, who is Wendy? What is Wendy about? What is Wendy trying to achieve? And what is it that Wendy loved? What is it that Wendy loved to do? And it took time, a lot of time, a lot of sweat and tears. Girl,
I get
lots of that. There are many occasions where I would just be running and I would just break down and cry. And I would cry because it was like, yo, like, I'm actually out here 4 o'clock in the morning by myself, and I'm having a deep connection with myself. And it's like, all your inner self, your younger self, all parts of you starts to show up.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, I'm sad, I'm depressed, or I'm feeling this way, and you've never addressed this. Why is that? Don't you love me? And this is things that's being told to me from myself. And the more I started to dig into myself, the more I started realizing that I didn't like myself. I didn't know who I was. And I was afraid of that person. But after going to therapy, and then after really discovering what I wanted, I started developing that relationship. And I realized that was more important to me, for me to continue on, so that I might be able to perform and produce the results I desire. So that's why I feel like it's such a difficult task to be able to accomplish, because you have to first recognize that you don't have a relationship with yourself. And that was difficult, very difficult.
But it sounds like you went through a journey. I know people use that word like almost too many times, I would say. That self-love journey. And I love how you broke it down. And I'm shivering just listening to you, because I don't know. I think I went through a similar journey, but maybe not as intense as yours. I think the first time I started running, and then I think I quit, and I'm like, I'm done. But the difference is I'm like, I'm gonna do this tomorrow. We're gonna try again tomorrow. And I think that's the key consistency that you mentioned. But my question is, you went through an intense journey. What would you say to someone trying to find themselves? Obviously, you're a personal trainer. Walk us through the process of what you would either, maybe you see a client where that personal journey they're not even there yet. They know they want to lose weight, or maybe they want to look good. And I think that's where, if you don't have your why, you're like, oh my God, everybody else look good. If I'm looking for perfect mate, I need to look this perfect size, and maybe the world will love me more, but I don't care about me loving myself or even understanding myself yet.
We wanted to take a moment to thank all our new subscribers. Please don't hesitate to comment below. Let us know how you enjoying our podcast so far, or if you have any recommendations, so we can continue to give you great contents. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching.
Powerful journey that you went through. How would you help people get to that same level of understanding of self-love and finding their why?
I personally feel like the first thing is that, so I'm going to give you like a metaphor, right?
Okay. I love metaphors. Sure.
When you're cleaning your house,
yeah,
what's the first thing you do?
If there are things on the floor, I would pick everything from the floor first, put them away, and then I start sweeping. If it's a place with a carpet, then I'll start vacuuming. But the floor needs to be clean first. I mean, you can't start mopping on dirty clothes or dirty things on the floor. The first thing is pick up everything from the floor, gathering everything, all the trash. That would be what I would do.
Absolutely. And the reason why I thought you were going to also say countertop is because you want to make sure you clean up all those so you can start sweeping. So it's like a step-by-step process.
First. Yes, 100%.
So think about it in this scenario. When you are transforming your mindset, what's the first thing you need to do? You need to first off, you need to figure out exactly here, what's going on? Who's around you that may be trapping you? So if you don't realize that you may still be trapped here, no matter what you start, you're always going to falter. So you got to understand, all right, for instance, if you're in a relationship with someone that you're in a toxic relationship, you know, the person doesn't treat you right. You know, he cusses you out, or she makes you feel like crap, or whatever the case is, but yet you tolerate it. Why do you tolerate that? That's where you start asking. When you start asking these simple questions, why am I tolerating these things? Why do I tolerate this mess? That's when you start to clean up some of the things that's holding you back from being the best version of yourself. So when you start to actually ask yourself, again, ask first, because you have to be aware of what the messes are. When you are realizing what those messes are, that and willing to make the appropriate changes, then what you do, you substitute the negativity, the negative things that was holding you back to the positive things. So if you know this person was always cussing you out, now you know that you're a type of person that has to be around other people. You need to surround yourself with positive mindsets, positive people who's going to actually elevate you, people who's actually going to talk the truth to you, but not in the way where they're going to hold you down or break you down. Because you have people that's going to break you down because they're jealous or whatever the case is, you know? So you want to make sure that you understand those things. Now, if you don't even know or have any clue as to what you need to do in order to break down those barriers, then you need to align yourself with people who are educated so that they can actually support you and teach you how to get to that next level. It's just like school. You know, you don't start off from grade 1 to 12th grade just like that. No, you have to go through each grade level just so that you can comprehend the fundamentals so you can actually graduate from high school. So that's just the same way as though you're breaking down the barriers of your past experiences, your toxic relationships, all these things that hold you down, all the criticism, your environment, these things shape you. So if you know that they shape you, you know that they're going to likely hold you down, hold you hostage until you start questioning, what is it that's holding me back and what can I do? Now, if you don't have a plan or you don't have any guidance, then you surround yourself with licensed people. Like for me, yes, I am a personal trainer. I'm aware of it. I research enough information so I know exactly what kind of information to share with people. So people have to call on me so that they might be able to get the results that they desire. But mentally, if I'm not all there, then I need to surround myself with people who understand mental health. So that's why for me personally, when I started seeking mental health, it changed the whole trajectory of how I interact with people, and it changed the way I saw myself. So that in itself is important, because if you don't know or have any strategic plan as to how to get yourself out of the things that's holding you down, then you need to align yourself with people or even have to pay for services that's going to get you to that next level. Yeah. And it's so important that we learn that, because other people, other races, they know that. You know, when you're trying to build your business, what do? You hire either a consultant or you get yourself connected. People know this. And these millionaires, they understand that. They don't work alone. They get themselves connected with the team of people that's actually elevated, that's going to elevate their business plans so that they can be the next million or billionaires. It's just like everything. Yeah. We don't know everything. Exactly. That's why if you don't know that you have stuff that's holding you down, then you need to start asking, or you need to start questioning your surrounding. Now, if you realize it now, and yet you don't have the support system in place, then you need to connect yourself with people who will be able to get you to that next level. That's where I would honestly say you need to start. And I always tell my clients, so what's going on? What's going on with your life? Mm-hmm. You know, because I have to get to know you so that I understand what it is, what are your barriers, what are the things that you're interested in, the type of cardio, whatever it is that you like to do, but yet you're trapped. I need to understand that. I need to know that, so I know how to interact with you and I know how to put in place the right plan. And I work with my clients. I don't just do it myself. My clients and I collaborate. And I'm a big advocate for my clients. I make sure that I'm supporting them. I make sure I encourage them. But more importantly, I'm realistic, because I'm not going to tell you, hey, you're starting to work out, so you need to fast every day or you need to just juice. No.
Yeah.
I'm not setting you up for failure. I'm trying to help you to understand that this is a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
So what do you need to do? You need to start step by step, just like climbing stairs. You need to take one step at a time so that you can get the results you desire. So a lot of times, especially when I'm dealing with, and no offense, but when I'm dealing with women, the first thing is, I want to look sexy. I want to have a curvy body, and I want to do this by summertime. You do know we're in March, right?
Summer's in 2 months. Yeah.
Unless you're willing to starve yourself, especially depending on where your body weight is, it's highly impossible. That's why you have to be realistic about your plans, about your goals, about what you really can do. Because if you're not willing to commit to 6 to 7 hours a week to working out, then we need to give ourselves first permission to set realistic plans. And I say give yourself permission because you don't give yourself permission at times. A lot of times, because again, the criticism is in your mind, you feel like you have to achieve this goal. And if you don't, it's like the whole world is just going to collapse. But you have to allow yourself to understand that realistically, I can only commit to 20 minutes a day or 20 minutes 2 or 3 days out of the week. That's what I'm really able to commit to. So when you realize that, then we can come up with realistic approaches as to what your body can look like in the next few months. And you have to be comfortable knowing that you will achieve this, and understand that celebrating yourself for every milestone is the best thing you can do. Because this is where you start to appreciate yourself. You start to appreciate your journey from understanding every milestones that you go through, because it's not easy. It's not easy changing your lifestyle. It's not easy changing a behavior. So you're literally tapping into your brain to tell your brain to stop doing stuff that you used to do for over 20 or 30 years, to now transform it, to now adapt to a new activity that's going to hurt your body, that's going to keep you sore, that's probably going to make you sleep it's going to drive you crazy. So you got to be realistic. You got to get to know yourself. So these are the things that I gradually teach my clients. As they go along the program with me, I start to notice a transformation, the way they see themselves, the way they are in their performance. Everything changes. And that's from here, but it's step by step.
I love it. I love it. I can see the passion in your voice and obviously in your face. I admire it, because I'm pausing because I never pride myself to get a personal trainer, even though I did run track in high school, in college. And I remember I wanted to up my performance game because I never had a really good trainer. Coach, if you're watching, I love you, but I'm sorry. It just, I honestly never find a personal trainer who would, and also because personal trainers are different for everyone. And it's just, I never had a personal trainer I could trust. What would you say is a key ingredient to good personal trainer? And the second part to this is, what are some key ingredients or even traits you see in personal trainer that really scares you? The reason I say this is, yeah, I used to run track. Yeah, I did all these things. But when it comes to the personal, when I wanted to elevate my fitness game, I just couldn't find someone I really could trust to get me there. So that's the reason I'm asking, what are just listening to you, I'm like passionate. I'm like, I wish I had that. Nobody asked me about how I'm feeling. It was just like, Mimi, we need you to run like 5 miles and I need that in the next 15 minutes. I'm like, okay. I was crying earlier, you don't care. So with that being said, what are some of the key ingredients when it comes to having a good personal trainer?
So I'm glad that you said something that was key. Nobody ever asked me. Why is it that it was important for you to feel like they needed to?
I'm not kidding you. Nobody ever asked me how I felt. It was just like, well, we're going to do 500 push-ups, whatever the case may be, but nobody asked about how I felt and I've been doing this for over 10 years. Nobody cared about how I felt.
And that's the key thing. We tapping into all aspects of Mimi, but you know yourself enough to know when there's an outside influence trying to tell you to do something that you're not accustomed to doing, that you're going to reject it. So as a result, that person, and the reason why you don't feel like you trust him is because that person never really got to know Mimi. And I feel like a lot of times, especially when we're developing a relationship, whether it's friendship, whether it's, like, building a community, whatever it is, get to know that person, understand who they are, where they are, and what they're willing to commit to. Because if you don't take that time out to really build that foundation with them, then all you're doing is instructing them. And in most times, we don't like to be told what to do. Especially as we get older.
That's true.
We don't. I mean, look at kids. You tell them what to do, they're looking at you like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to challenge this.
That is so true.
I was that kid. I challenged my mom. So I was just like, I wonder if I did this, what would happen? Even though you're going to get a whooping, you're like, well, it wasn't that bad, And you go off and do it again,
Yeah, especially as a kid, that was like I tried everything under the sun. I'm like, oh my God. I gave my parents the run for their money. I'm like, I was the bad kid out of the group. Out of 4, I was the bad kid. I was like, because everyone else was super nice, like they listened to my parents, but I'm like, this is too easy. I'm like, let's see what you made of today.
Yeah, I know, right? And you were a kid. Imagine that. You were a kid doing that.
Yeah.
So think about adults. You're an adult. You've established so much. And now you have somebody, a stranger, coming to tell you, yo, I need you to run around the block 5 times so that I can see some results, so we can get what you want. No, you're going to be like, no thanks. I would rather just sit out or just figure it out other ways, because you get tired. And again, you haven't developed a relationship with the person. You don't trust the person. So you don't even know if the person even knows when you're tired or if you're able to achieve that goal. So that's why it's so important that you get to know, build a relationship with this person, understand where they're at and what they're willing to put out, and then work with them. It's not about, and that's one thing I realized with personal trainers, they're so caught up with they're here to deliver results for their clients.
Yeah.
But they're so caught up with the idea that they have to produce results for their clients that they forget their clients. It's like you're stuck in your job and you think that if you don't perform this for this client, that you're going to lose out on your client. But psychologically what's happening, you're literally allowing it to happen. You're manifesting that which you don't want to happen.
Yep.
So you're bringing forth the thing that you already think is possible, which is losing your client based off of your actions. You're forcing this client to do something because you feel like, I'm a personal trainer. I know it all. Yes, you may know the fundamentals of being a personal trainer, but you don't know the client. So you need to learn the client so that you can apply the fundamentals of personal training to that person. There's so many different types of fundamentals. You got to understand which role this client plays and how to help that person achieve that goal. So you're collaborating with your client. You're not their parents. You're not their spouse. They may not even trust you. So you have to come in as, and I don't want to say it in a negative way, but you have to come in as literally a sheep. Get to know who this person is and understand what they want and see how you can collaborate with them. That's where it starts.
I love that. I don't know who said that, but they said true leadership is being able to follow. And the fact that you said that, I think that's so powerful to anybody listening. That is true leadership right there. Having the ability to lead by following.
Forgive yourself and learn to figure out what is it that what is it that you need in order to redevelop a better relationship with yourself and your people, the people that you want to surround yourself. That will eventually come. You will eventually start to see that you're going to attract the right people because now your mind is clearer. You're attracting the right frequency. Whatever you think, that is what you will manifest.
I could not agree with you more.